My mom won't stop trying to set my gay self up with men, so my best girlfriend and I are going to fake an engagement. When I, 25F, came out as a lesbian over a decade ago, I thought my mom would eventually get used to it. But here we are, years later, and she still insists it's a phase. Since my dad passed a few years ago, she's been on a mission to marry me off to a man to carry on the family name like we're some sort of royal dynasty. Despite my constant reminders that being gay doesn't mean I can't have kids, she keeps trying to set me up with men. Every time I see her, she's showing me pictures of eligible bachelors and begging me to meet them for coffee. The whole situation has become a running joke between me and my best friend, Annie. Annie and I met in college as roommates, and we've been inseparable ever since. She and her boyfriend at the time used to joke about us being a throuple, even though nothing ever happened between us. She's always been supportive, so I'd vent to her every time my mom pulled another matchmaking stunt. Annie would text me hilarious fake messages from my mom like, "Katie, I found a lizard in my yard. Pretty sure it has a pee-pee. You interested?" Last week, things reached a boiling point. My mom was practically bouncing when I arrived, excited to tell me she'd lined up a date with her boss's recently divorced son. She insisted he was perfect for me because the lesbian thing clearly isn't working out. Ouch. I tried to brush it off, but it hurt. I've struggled with dating, but her implying I was failing at being gay, that stung. I cut the visit short and called Annie on the drive home. Half joking, I told her I wished I had a girlfriend to prove to my mom that being gay wasn't some failed experiment. That's when Annie said, "Forget a girlfriend. You need a fiancé." At first, I laughed, but then Annie said, "Why not me? Your mom loves me. Let's tell her we're engaged. Make her plan a big gay wedding." The idea was so ridiculous, it just might work. We spent the drive brainstorming our fake engagement, and before I knew it, we were at a thrift store buying cheap rings and taking coupley photos at a botanical garden. When I told my mom I had big news, she was thrilled. Annie and I even went on a mini getaway to a vineyard to take more fake engagement photos, and honestly, it was the best time we'd had together in years. When we showed up at my mom's house flashing our rings, she was stunned, but quickly got on board. By the end of the day, we were talking venues and wedding dates. Everything was perfect, except for one awkward moment when I complimented Annie on how convincing her lesbian awakening story was, and she got quiet. I brushed it off. Over the next few months, we kept up the charade, but as the wedding approached, we realized we needed to decide what to do. Annie casually suggested we go through with it, not as a real marriage, but as a partnership. We'd always have each other, she said. It sounded kind of nice, honestly. I agreed, thinking we could always call it off at the altar if we had to. On the wedding day, as I was getting ready, I had a moment of clarity. I realized I couldn't go through with it because I wasn't pretending anymore. I had fallen for Annie. I went to her dressing room, ready to tell her, but before I could, she kissed me. And wow, what a kiss. We got married that day, and 2 years later, we're happier than ever. Annie is pregnant with our first child, thanks to IVF, and my mom couldn't be more thrilled to be getting a grandchild. Every day, I laugh at how absurd our love story is, and I can't believe how lucky I am to have my best friend by my side for the rest of my life. Turns out all those commenters saying Annie wasn't straight, yeah, you were right.